Good morning, sixth grade. This video is for you for Tuesday morning, March 12th. And we are looking at the subjunctive mood, and that is lesson 4.15 on page 108. Now, we have one lesson left, 4.16, which is model auxiliaries. And after that, we'll have your grammar test. Now, some of you have asked, and I've answered some of your questions regarding using your books during the tests. Obviously, my preference is that you not, but I mean, in these circumstances, I can't stop you. So um, just remember that the majority of your learning comes from the amount of time that you're spending, looking over the lessons and taking your time as you do them. So um, I am not going to be, there's no way for me to control what you are doing. So I'm going to put that on you. But we are continuing with lesson 4.15 in the subjunctive mood. Now, the subjunctive mood is used in several ways. The first way is to express a wish or a desire. The second is to express a command, a request, or a suggestion following the word that. I would like that you do this. And then the third one is to express something that is contrary to fact. That means it's not true. If something is contrary, it's opposite. So if it's contrary to fact, it's not true. The subjunctive refers to what is hoped or wished rather than what actually is. So for the verb be, the common forms of the subjunctive are be or were. Be is commonly used with verbs of commands, requests, or suggestions. Otherwise, the form is typically were. The auxiliary verb would is used in place of will. So I wish I were able to go to the lecture with you. That's expressing a wish in the subjunctive mood. I wish I were able to do this. He requested that they be on time for the lecture. Now that is making a request, and it's following the word that, which we just mentioned. If I were you, I would leave by 7:30. Now, this is expressing something that is contrary to fact. In other words, if I were you, I would do this. However, I'm not you, so it's contrary to the fact that you are who you are. Now, can you identify the subjunctive forms in these sentences? Can you tell how the subjunctive is used? In the first sentence, it says, if I were Sammy, I would work on my project tonight. And we see, if I were, I would. Okay, now think about that because it's using were and it's saying, if this, I would do this. So that's contrary. I wish my project were finished. Now, in this case, we're using the form of the verb be, which is were, and it told us up above that we would use either be or were in the subjunctive. And this one says, I wish my project were finished. Now, we have a wish in this situation. That's the first reason. If you look in the yellow of your textbook, the first example of a subjunctive is used to express a wish or a desire. I wish my project were finished. So that's subjunctive using were, and it's making a wish. In the third example, my mother ordered that all my attention be on homework. Now, in this case, it's a command or a request. Actually, it's more of a command because she ordered, so orders are usually commands. And it says, if you look at the sentence again, my mother ordered that all my attention be on my homework. The subjunctive form in this sentence is the word be because it's following a verb that gives us a command, which is ordered. Now, I know this sounds a little bit confusing because we have three different factors that are involved in forming the subjunctive mood. It's kind of a mouthful to say. But I want you to take your time as you go through. We're only doing exercise number 1, and you have to look at the 3 reasons that we use subjunctive. And each of the sentences that you look at will have one of the 3 reasons. So in the information for exercise 1, it says, identify the subjunctive verb or verb phrase in each sentence and tell what it expresses. It's either a wish, a command, a request, a suggestion, or something contrary to fact. So those are your 5 choices. You're going to have 2 answers. The first answer is going to be the verb in the subjunctive mood. The second answer will be which of those 5 uh, things are being suggested, are being expressed, I should say. So if we look at number 1, if you were in my class, you'd have to write a report on the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Now, if you were, then this, right? The first thing we're going to do is find the verb in the subjunctive. If you were. So were, again, if you look up at the top, the second paragraph says for the verb be, the common forms of the subjunctive are be and were. So we have the word were. So if you were, so were is our first answer, that's the verb, and then we say, what is the situation? Which of those 5 choices is it? Is it a wish, a command, a request, a suggestion, or something contrary to fact? Now, one of the kickers here to remember, the contrary to fact begins with if this, then that. Okay? And in this case, if you were in my class, that indicates contrary to fact because you're not in the class. So the answer for number 1 is the verb in the subjunctive, which is were, and then comma, and then the second answer is contrary to fact. So you have exercise 1 only. The next lesson is model auxiliaries. I think you'll enjoy that lesson. Actually, I know you will because you'll then understand why I make many of the corrections that I make for you. And then you will have your grammar test. So, blessings.